have come to realize that it has not helped. Therefore, I think as we analyze the problem, as we analyze the situation, and as we work toward making India and even our state a drug-free country and a drug-free state, we must address drug addiction as a sickness. I will say this as I conclude my challenge to those that are gathered here. We must strengthen our institutions. And when I say our institutions, we must strengthen our family. We must strengthen our village institutions, the authority. We must strengthen our church. The church should not just only be seen as a pulpit ministry, but the church, we must take the church to the streets. We must take the church to our workplaces. We must take the church to our homes. We must strengthen our schools, our colleges, and we must strengthen individuals. When individuals become weak, the society will become weak. The institutions that we are talking about, the family, the village, the community, the church will become weak. And therefore, as we look forward to taking this issue further, let us also work towards strengthening our institutions. And God bless you all. Amen.
Use disorder are a serious problem, adversely affecting our social fabric of our state. Not only affects the individual health, but also disrupt their families and the whole society. Regular use or consumption of various psychoactive substances leads to dependence or dependency. Some substance compound may lead to neuropsychiatric disorder, cardiovascular disease, mental health issues resulting in suicides and violence. Therefore, substance use and dependence need to be viewed as psychosocial medical problem. Substance users continue to be criminalized, stigmatized, and further marginalized by our society, and many has been traumatized. As a result, substance users, especially those who inject drugs, are not coming forward to access health service means to protect themselves from HIV, viral hepatitis, and other infectious diseases. Without scientific evidence-based interventions, substance use-related complications, social harm may progressively increase into a public health epidemic. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah, in his address in Lok Sabha Parliament, Winter Session 2022, he stated, "Be ruthless with the drug smugglers, but treat users as a victim." Again this year, in 2023, in the month of April, Union Home Minister told the anti-narcotic officials, "There has been a mistake on our approach till now. Our aim should be clear, that one should consume drug users as a victim and smugglers as a criminal. Even our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his Man Ki Baat radio talk, he also said that drug addiction is a psychosocial medical problem. The American Medical Association has done a thorough research way back in 1956, and they have come to the conclusion that addiction is a disease. In 1958, WHO has endorsed and said this is a disease. Addiction is a disease. And I am very happy that our church, the apex body NBCC, also has acknowledged that addiction is a disease. So it needs to be treated. Substance use disorder ought to be treated as a public health concern rather than a criminal law issue. Hence, we call upon our state government to prioritize and invest in public health issues, such as substance abuse prevention and treatment, HIV prevention, including harm reduction, which will lead to a greater gain towards health, social, and criminal justice. Recognize substance use disorder as a complex, multifactorial health disorder, characterized by a chronic and relapsing in nature, with social cause and consequences that can be prevented and treated through effective, scientific, evidence-based drug treatment and rehabilitation programs. Substance users desiring and seeking genuinely to lead a sober life should be provided option for treatment, mainstream and social reintegration with an atmosphere that respects his or her rights as an individual.
Welfare Department, I take this privilege to firstly thank the Chief Secretary, Government of Nagaland and DGP Nagaland Police for accepting our request to grace the occasion as special guest and special invitee. Sirs, your presence shows the commitment of the state government in alleviating and mitigating substance abuse in the state. International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking is observed every year on the 26th of June since 1989, with the objective to strengthen action and cooperation to achieve a world free of drug abuse. With the support of individuals, communities, and various organizations all over the world, this day aims to raise awareness on the major problem that illicit drug represent today, illicit drug represent to the society today. Many people who use drugs face stigma and discrimination, which can further harm their physical and
the most important issue there is what are the legal provisions. Now, the NDPS Act has been amended, which says that, I'm just saying this because this can get carried out in the papers so that everybody knows how it impacts, what are the provisions. Now, if there is a user and a small-time consumer, there can be leniency for him as per law, okay? He would probably have to be arrested, but on the assurance of the person or his family members that he will undergo rehab under the watch of either an NGO or a government agency or a hospital. There is no punishment to him. Okay, so my request is, if there is an abuser, please come and admit to us or to the NGOs or the Social Justice Department. Help yourself first. The abusers need to help themselves first. And when we question you from whom you are buying the drug, we are helping you to break that nexus of the sellers of the drugs, who are the criminals who are putting you into this entire vicious circle. I think you need to help this. One of the conditions for pardon or reprieve or whatever you call it, or a lenient treatment for an abuser or a drug user is that he has to tell the truth. Now, telling the truth is important once it helps you, and it also helps the user to break the bridge which has led you to a wrong lifestyle. So if you can share the information with us or with the NGOs about from where they have been buying or you have been buying the drug, it actually shows your keenness and your willingness to give up or give up the drug and get treated. So that has to be the point of beginning for all of you. All of you means the users. Madam Martha brought up the issue of moral policing. There are two aspects to moral policing. One is people beating up others or taking the law into their own hands. Now, I personally believe that a war against crime or a war against drugs is not only a police or a law enforcement effort. It is a collaborative effort between the society and the law enforcement agencies and also the rehabilitation agencies. Personally and also officially, let me put it this way, Nagaland Police is open to all sorts of help and collaboration from NGOs, civil societies, unions, village level units, tribal ho-hos. I would even go to the extent of saying the underground factions. You know, we are in a war. It is a common war for humanity against drugs, against crime. I have no issues if even people from the underground factions or the NGOs need to want to collaborate with us. But there is just one condition. That condition is, please do not take the law into your own hands. You need to understand the limits of the law. The limit of the law is that any civilian who knows of a crime taking place or a crime likely to take place can intervene and detain a person. However, after detaining the person, it is your duty to inform the police immediately, as soon as possible. So that limit of the law, I thought I will convey to everybody in the society. It is not my fight, it is not individual fight of any one of you, it is everybody's fight. But let us act within the bounds of law. Another problem in Nagaland is, now I'm not trying to criticize an individual or an organization or a system, but there are lessons to be learnt everywhere. The unfortunate incident which happened in Tizit. In Nagaland, we know how strong our village and community level links are. One of the reasons I say that please don't take law into your own hands is, besides it being a crime, the major reason is the sort of the fissures in the society are strong. The village level divide sometimes can be strong, and one small act can spiral out of control in the entire state or an entire region. Imagine one small act of someone beating on someone in a village or a community spirals into an inter-village problem or an inter-tribal problem, and it spirals out of control throughout the state. We are there as police, and excise department also has authority there. We are there as the government to help you check all this problem. Please trust us. Please come to us. If we are found wanting, tell us what needs to be improved, we will do that. Many things I want to say, but obviously, even if I get a long time to speak, I can't speak for the whole day. Can't be speaking the whole day. So as I said, please know the limits of law. Another issue is when any NGO or a civil society organization or any individual wants to take action, please understand that you have limits to what you can act. a tribal society or or a student society or a whatever, a drivers union or a auto union or XYZ NGO can only act locally. You can only act in your own jurisdiction, in your own pockets of dominance. You do not have either the mandate nor the wherewithal nor the authority to act throughout the state and beyond the borders of the state of Nagaland. The police can do that. Please trust us. We will do that. We will go back to catch the actual original traffickers or the sources who are outside Nagaland also. And why I am saying this is not because you just need to trust us, because we cannot dismantle this network of drugs just by catching individual consumers. Nobody can conceive of Nagaland police catching, say, the 30,000 people that I mentioned in the beginning. If we have 30,000 consumers, nobody can expect us to be catching 30,000 consumers, but if we start catching the ones who are selling it, we will probably be left with around a figure of 4,000 to 5,000 people, which is a doable thing. But if we go and trace the sources of the drugs back in, say, Myanmar or wherever, this number will come to just about 200. So that is where we need to reach. We can't catch everybody and put entire group of consumers in the jails. Now, another issue with the NGOs or people, or I would say well-meaning people in Nagaland or the country, trying to act locally, or what Madam called moral policing is, our data on drug abuse or crime, I'm saying two different things but both related. Our data on drug abuse in this particular case and on crime is distorted. We do not, in the absence of official figures about abusers or users or traffickers or criminals, we do not know the magnitude of the problem. Now, if we do not know the magnitude of the problem, how do we put mechanisms in place to address the problem? How do we not only intensify police action or have more police deployed for the purpose, but how do we go to the government of Nagaland or to the government of India and tell them that we need to create more awareness, we need to have more rehab centers, we need to supply more OSD, we need to have checks and balances, we need to probably have more, counseling centers for drug users and all. Now, in the absence of all this data, there is a problem. So that is why I request all NGOs, civil societies, everybody in the public, you know a criminal, you know a person who is dealing with drugs, please involve us, please inform the law enforcement agencies. We will help you not only to address that problem, but also help the government of Nagaland and the government of India to develop a larger, bigger perspective and policy on the entire problem. Now, let me involve in some cheating. I've made some notes. Parchi banai na Aisha ji. I've left out anything important. I don't want to carry on. Again, the role of the church. I noted down this bullet point. The role of the church can be manifold. The role of the church can be spreading the awareness. I'm grateful to the church for at least once on the occasion of, during the election, spreading this message. We will probably collaborate with the church more often. So one of the methods is spreading the message. Second is prayer meetings and prayer centers where the ordinary drug user can be sent for healing or for counseling. I think another area which, again, I would say within the bounds of law, if church can contemplate is
out of it. That is what all this awareness and sensitization is about. There should be no stigmatization attached to the victims or to their families. This is very important. It will perhaps help many of the drug users to come out openly, and then we can take some action, rehabilitation action, to bring them out of this drug abuse. The preventive action also is equally important, where all our, the government agencies, the non-government agencies, the religious organizations, the churches, and every one of us, we need to really come together and create that awareness so that we can take preventive action. So friends, in my view, the time for planning has passed, and we are now in a time that calls for action, individually as well as collectively. We need to take eradication of drug abuse as a public movement, where each individual and each authority plays its parts with the fullest commitment. I once again would like to thank the organizers for organizing this program, and I think we have had a long session of speeches, some very long, some short, so I'll not speak much, but this day is a very important day, the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. The very fact that we have a packed hall, so many young people are here, is itself an indication how seriously we take this problem. And the problem is indeed very serious. The facts and figures have been reeled out by the Secretary of the Department as well as the DGP. So I'll not go into the details of how serious the problem is in Nagaland. As was mentioned, you see, 1 out of 4 people is apparently a drug user in Nagaland, which is really, really very high. We have been dealing with this problem for many years, but instead of, reducing the problem seems to be increasing. So definitely there is a need for some introspection, and this is one forum which provides an opportunity to introspect. Are the efforts that we are making sufficient? Is something more required to be done? Is there a problem in our coordination? Is there a problem in the sensitization and awareness campaigns that we are having? Are we able to take everybody on board in this fight against drug abuse? These are the questions that we need to answer. The high prevalence of narcotics and psychotropic substances in the state is a serious concern. As I said, we are making a lot of efforts, not only at the state level, but even at the central level. As you all know, Nagaland is not a producer of drugs, but it is a transit point. A lot of drugs are coming maybe from Myanmar side, and then from Manipur to Nagaland, and then going into Assam and the rest of the country. And Nagaland is also a major consumption center. So we keep reading in the newspapers, many a time drug seizures are there. In Nagaland also, Manipur, Assam also. But are they making a serious impact? What fraction of the total drug trade are we able to catch? That is the question. We have been discussing with the Nagaland police also and various other agencies as to how best we can tackle.
Today, as mentioned from the keynote address and different speakers, we have been observing World Drug Day along with the different parts of the world. But at the same time in India, as our keynote address has rightly mentioned, the Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan has been launched in 2020, 15 August, and it's an ongoing campaign. And initially it was 3 districts, and now it has increased to 6 districts in the state. So as Sir Wangwei has rightly mentioned, different districts are observing this, and today we would like to join the country in taking a pledge and make a significant difference this year, where every participants in this program will take a pledge today, so that every one of us as an individual or as an organization can do a big role to make a difference starting from our state. And rightly mentioned earlier that we have the 2 highest dignitaries here, the Chief Secretary and the DGP. Their presence also make it historical for today's pledge to take it together. So I request all of us to kindly stand up once and stretch out our right hand, and I'll read out one sentence, and accordingly, if you can kindly follow us, that will be very kind of you. Please reach out our right hand. Today we are united to take a pledge.
Today we are united to take a pledge.
Under the Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan,
Under the Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan,
to make not only our community,
to make not only our community,
family, friends, but ourselves drug-free,
family, friends, but ourselves drug-free,
because change starts from within.
because change starts from within.
So pledge together to make India drug-free.
So pledge together to make India drug-free.
I pledge that I will take all efforts
I pledge that I will take all efforts
in my capacity to make India drug-free.
in my capacity to make India drug-free.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. Under the Nashamuk Bharat Abhiyan, to make not only our community, but ourselves drug-free, because change starts from within. So pledge together to make India drug-free. I pledge that I will take all efforts in my capacity to make India drug-free. Thank you so much.
Catch something and they will take money and फैसला अवश्य हो ये तो फैसला हुआ ही किस तरह से तो पूरा I think people should be encouraged to report to the police. Rest assured that Nagaland police will stand with you, and we have enough amount of time which we can spare for tackling any crime in the state, and if required we will devote more resources to it. But I think people should not take law into their own hands without trying to say being very harsh or issue a warning or anything. I think certain acts, like if you catch someone and you put him in a room for say 2 hours or 4 hours or keep him under detention, these are also crimes per se. Okay? So if someone, it's just that in Nagaland the person who has been arrested or kept under detention has not questioned it. If he files an FIR, then the person who is actually trying to take good action is also committing a crime. So my request is, please, if you come to know of a crime or a drug addict or a peddler, please inform us immediately after taking action. We will intervene, we will take action. That is my request to everyone.
So you have mentioned about we will intervene those community or colony who have cash with the drugs peddlers and all.
As I said during my speech also, that I think we need to educate people. As I say always, that Nagaland is a society in transition. People still are getting used to the modern system of laws and authorities. Yes, there are some traditional powers which are available, but those powers also are limited. And even in those powers, even as per the Administration of Justice and Police Act of Nagaland, those powers are very limited. That is one aspect where the villages and the village council and the GPs, the washis need to understand where their power starts, where it ends. But besides that power that they have, I think the broader power which exists is for all civilians within, or every citizen within the country, or every person within the country who has the power and the authority to intervene if there is a crime taking place. So, but as I said, that power to intervene is only limited to catching a person committing a crime and then bringing him to the police station or informing the police. I think I would request and I would appeal to all civil society and everybody in Nagaland to help us in combating crimes in general and NDPS crimes in particular. And whenever you catch someone, I'm not saying don't catch it, but when you catch someone, please inform the police. Let the police take over the investigation and find out other linkages. Without casting aspersions on any civil society or a group of persons or an individual, you will always have black sheep report to us. Only when we know what is the magnitude of the problem, we will be able to assess what additional facilities we need, whether that is in police or by way of creation of rehab centers or by employment of extra doctors or paramedics or counselors. So unless we have exact figures, it will just be say shooting in the dark to find out what best we can do.
So why do you think Nagaland is very high in this drug?
I think Nagaland is high. I know, I can't think of a reason why Nagaland is high, but I think easy availability is one thing. And traditionally, in most societies, things like ganja or opium also have had medicinal value. Now, people need to realize, even when we were children, our parents may have given us a little bit of dose of opium for, say, some fever or something, but that doesn't make me an addict. So people need to realize that even if there were medicinal uses of ganja or of opium or things like that, that has to be done under medical supervision and limited. It cannot be that it is available and we say that we need to realize that when any government or any legislature thinks that it will criminalize an act. Okay, for example, criminalizing the use or abuse or trafficking of opium or ganja. The legislature or the government is doing it because it feels that it is detrimental to the society. So once it is criminalized, I think everybody in the society, including in Nagaland, needs to realize that it is wrong. And if it is wrong and not wrong because someone likes it, wrong because it is wrong for the society. And people need to actually correct themselves and bring themselves to the modern way of law which has been enacted.
Once the department has finished the war against the drugs, how many peddler or crime has been arrested and has been reported to?
I will not be able to give you the exact figures, but it is more than 165 people, and there are a lot of others who are under watch. So we could have caught much more, but we are very careful in not catching actually the users per se, but catching the sellers. We have been relatively successful, and more importantly than just catching the criminals or catching the peddlers, I think what we have been able to do with the help of Nagaland government is some of the ones who have been involved in trafficking or peddling of slightly higher quantities of drugs, we have been able to detain them under preventive detention. So that has been a very conscious decision. It's not like we are detaining someone for 1000 kgs, but people who are even trafficking or found with 500 grams or more, we are trying that we should get them detained under preventive detention, which could mean anything between 3 months to 6 months, depending. How that helps is that that trafficking network is taken out of circulation for that period. So that disrupts that network. So that way, the sort of drug peddling instances have come down, because the message also goes around that you will not get bail and you will be put under preventive detention. So from our side, we are doing our best.
Sir, have you been dealing with the sunflower abuse among the students?
Not really. I mean, see, we haven't come across. Came across one or two students, but we've been very, very careful not to allow it to be stigmatized. We are even in students, when a few cases have come to our knowledge, we have been very careful that we will just talk to the students and find out from where they have been buying and trying to catch the peddlers or the traffickers, not the students per se.
So, how many village personnel has been undergoing this drugs illegal so far in the
Again, I will not be able to give a correct exact figure, but it should be around 10. Again, that 10 figure is also because those 10 are not only users, but they are also peddlers. Okay, so we have been also careful that we should not catch the users, because the user, as I said, is a victim. So a lot of our own police personnel have come forward and said that, or their family members have informed us that someone is taking a drug. So we have been very liberal and say, okay, you go for rehab. So a lot of people have also gone for rehab because of our approach. Yeah, around 10. Yeah. Thank you.